Hello Starlets, I'm Sarah from Everyday Starlet. Welcome to my channel. We're proving that being healthy can be glamorous. Today I want to talk to you about cool sculpting. I mentioned that I did cool sculpting a while back and asked you for your questions. And I've been promising for a long time that I would do a full video review on cool sculpting, and I finally took the time to sit down and film this. I really thought about filming the process and actually vlogging it. For some reason, every time I went to do it, I felt so vulnerable, and the first time I know I was really nervous. I've done it 3 times basically, and I don't know, each time I was just sort of nervous for a different reason, and so I never filmed it. So I apologize for that. I hope you understand that it was just it was a very sort of personal, emotional thing for me to do. But I do want to share with you guys my experience in case any of you are thinking about doing it, and I can answer any questions that you might have. So where to begin? I guess I should probably start with, what is cool sculpting? Cool sculpting is actually something that has been around for a while, and I've actually heard about it. I've been hearing about it, I think, for a little while. It was more something that like just celebrities were doing, and it's kind of become more mainstream. I'm starting to see more advertisements for it, more commercials. I've seen some billboards for it. And so it's becoming more of a common thing. It's being touted as kind of this like non-surgical liposuction. I mean, I think you could kind of call it that. The idea behind cool sculpting is that it actually sucks your fat into this device. It kind of like clamps on to the fat that you have on your body, and it freezes it. And the idea is that it freezes it to a temperature that does not harm your skin, but actually kills off the fat cells, and then the fat cells like gradually die off and flush out of your body naturally over the course of like 3 months. So you don't instantly have a change in your body, but your body will change over time. I did a lot of research before I went to do cool sculpting. I hadn't really found any really negative reviews, any like major side effects. I feel like everybody that did it, I mean, some people had a little bit different experiences with it, but there was nothing that seemed terrible. Like, I mean, I always look for like, you know, oh, permanent disfigurement or something when I'm like searching for potential procedures, and there wasn't anything like that. It seemed like, you know, some people said they experienced more pain than other people. Some people felt like they had better results than other people did. It didn't really appear like there were too many side effects. So I started to look more into it. I actually did a search on Yelp and looked for some reviews and stuff of places in my area. I wanted to stick to where I'm from, which is like central Massachusetts. I actually went to a place called Skin MD, which is actually in Worcester, Massachusetts. So if you are in the Worcester, Massachusetts area and, you know, central Mass or New England area, I had a very good experience at Skin MD. I really felt like the people there, they seemed to really care about what they were doing. They were very knowledgeable, very pleasant. I really enjoyed my experience there. I'll get into a little bit more detail in a minute. So first I want to get into why I decided to do it. I'm not going to get into my whole health and fitness story and journey and everything, because I have plenty of videos about that, and I don't want to make this video like too insanely long. However, my abdominal area, particularly my upper abdominal area, has always been like my nemesis. And it's unusual, I feel like, because I feel like for most women it's their lower abdominals, and my lower abdominals are not perfect, but I have been, when I've dieted and exercised and stuff, I have been able to tone them, whereas my upper abdominals, I've just never been able to get them under control. I've never been confident about them. I've mentioned in a previous video that up until my recent oxygen challenge, I had never owned a bikini before. I had never worn a bikini before, because my abdominal area was just, it was always a place of insecurity for me, because I feel like, oh, bigger butts, bigger legs, bigger thighs, bigger boobs, smaller boobs, whatever, like those trends go in and out, but like there's not gonna be a time when like big flabby abs are trendy. It's not gonna happen. At least I've never seen it in my lifetime. So for me, I've always been really insecure about that area. And when I started this process, when I started doing Coolsculpting, I was probably about 15 pounds heavier than I am now for a lot of reasons, and I've lost weight. Like, Coolsculpting didn't make me lose 15 pounds, but I was slightly heavier. However, I knew, because of my own past experience, that when I have gotten myself down drastically low in weight, probably about as low as I should have been for my height, I still had a lot of fat in my upper abdominals that just would not go away. Even though I wasn't really at my goal weight at the time that I started this process, I knew that even if I got to my goal weight, my stomach area was never gonna be where I wanted it to be, just with what I could do on my own. And I do feel like, because I have yo-yoed quite a bit in my life as far as my weight goes, and I do feel like that was a contributing factor to it. It was because I would, I would get healthy, I would work out, I would exercise, I would do everything that I was supposed to do, but yet I would still have this problem area, and I'd just be like, well, if that's gonna look terrible, then I'm not gonna feel good about myself, so screw it, bring on the pizza. Like, I would just throw it all away, and then I would put the weight back on again. And it would kind of be this vicious cycle. And I mean, I have binge eating issues and emotional eating issues and all kinds of other stuff, but I really felt like, and I do still feel like, my abdominal area has just been a source of a lot of discomfort, and it's been a problem for me. I feel like it's kind of the same thing where, like, there's people who just, they can't get over their noses, or, they don't have boobs and they want boobs, and they just can't get past that in order to loving themselves. And I just feel like that's really where I was with my abdominal area. But I really was not emotionally ready for any kind of like surgery or anything like that. So that's my reasoning for doing it. I went to SkinMD, had a meeting. My initial meeting, it went well. First time that I had it done, they used two small devices. I don't know technically what the name of the device actually is. One on each side of my abdomen. What they do at SkinMD is they also do a treatment that is called Venus, which is it's like a heat massage. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's supposed to help like tighten the skin. You can actually do package deals where you can do the Coolsculpting, and then you have to wait, like, I think it's 2 weeks, and then you can do a series of Venus treatments, which are skin tightening. I did the Coolsculpting, and the way that they charge Coolsculpting, which I actually got a bit confused, I have to say, initially with it, is that each treatment, I thought that the price was like total, whereas they did a treatment this side and then they had to move it over to this side, and each of those is a separate price. I'll get into price a little bit later, which I have to admit was a bit confusing for me, because I was thinking like, this is one area, it's one treatment. Each time they actually use the device, whether it be on a different area, if that's a separate price. At least in my situation, I don't know how every place does it, but it typically, I believe, each time they put one of the devices on you is a separate price. So I did that. I did basically a smaller device on one side. They did it again on the other side, and I did the series of 4 Venus treatments. I did not see results, like really almost any results at all. And I was told up front that I most likely would need more than one, considering I had so much extra body fat in that area. So I was told that up front, but I was still expecting to see more than what I saw. I mean, I didn't see almost any change at all. So I actually met with our on-call doctor, which is one thing that I will say. It's Coolsculpting. You need to make sure that the place that you go to is, has people that know what they're doing and are actually certified in Coolsculpting. And it doesn't actually have to be administered by a doctor, but I would definitely recommend that if you do go to a med spa or someplace, that they actually have a doctor that is sort of on call in case anything might come up. Better to be safe than sorry. I actually, after the first procedure, met with their doctor. It's a little bit of discrepancy as to whether or not they thought that there was a difference. I didn't think that there was any difference. They kind of tried to convince me there was a little bit of a difference. But that's also when I found out, which I will admit I wish I had known ahead of time, but the person I met with initially, actually after she did my first procedure, she no longer worked there. So that's really the only thing that was kind of a downfall about this particular place and my experience. After that, everything was smooth sailing, but I did feel like there were some things in the initial meeting that I felt a little bit misled about. But then after that, after I'd done the initial procedure, I feel like everybody became very accommodating as to, like, let's make sure she's happy. We want her to be happy. We want her to have good results. So it was kind of like a bad seed that didn't really stick around for very long, and then the rest of my experience there was wonderful. One thing that I found out afterwards is that there's actually 2 different size devices, and I had basically only been offered the smaller device. They did one on one side and one on the other side. Apparently there is a larger device. The larger device is stronger, covers the larger area, and it's more expensive. It actually is, I don't know if this is all around, but I believe it's typically twice as expensive as doing the smaller device. So like, say doing the smaller device twice would be the same as doing the larger device once. Now, my particular area of problem, that sounds so philosophical, is a bit unusual than most people. So in my situation, they actually were able to do the larger and stronger device once on the front of my abdomen. That wouldn't necessarily work for everybody because everybody's body is a little bit different and everybody's problem area is a little bit different. But that actually was something that they were able to do on me, so that technically the price didn't really increase, and I definitely saw more results with the second treatment. After the second treatment and then the following venous treatments, you know, I had to wait my 3 months. I just decided, you know what, I want to try this one more time. Now, during this whole process, I definitely have been working out. I've been eating better. It's definitely motivated me. Spending all this money on Coolsculpting definitely motivated me to do more on my own because I really wanted there to be payoff. So I wouldn't say that all of the changes in my body, and I will show you before and after photos, but I don't believe that all of the changes were just Coolsculpting. However, knowing my own body and knowing how I typically lose weight, I do think that the Coolsculpting helped. Did it help enough to justify the large expense that it was? I personally think it's worth it. However, I think you need to decide for yourself whether or not that kind of investment is worth it to you. And I think that depends on, you know, what your problem area is, how significant it is to you. I really think that, I mean, with anything when it comes to spending money and whether or not something is worth spending money, it has to be a personal decision. So let me show you my before and after. I will put up a photo so you can see. I'm still very self-conscious about my abdominal area, so please, please, please be kind in the comments, because it is something I'm very self-conscious about, and my abdominals are definitely not where I would like them to be, but I do think I've made an improvement. I also did, on my second round of Coolsculpting, I did some areas on my back, basically like just under my bra line where I had overhanging back issues. Those like shrunk up really quickly. I don't know if that was necessarily just the Coolsculpting or if it was also, I mean, I do feel like that area responded really well to me just changing my diet and going more low carb. So I do think that part of that was Coolsculpting, but I also think part of that was just diet and lifestyle changes as well. Now, side effects from Coolsculpting. I was a little bit nervous when I went to do it. You sign a form, sign a waiver, which is typical, I think, of any kind of time you do any kind of procedure, especially a spa procedure. The possible side effects, I don't remember, but nothing really shouted out at me as being like something that was really something to be scared of, and I'm a pretty paranoid person. They did tell me that you can frequently feel pain, and that if I felt a lot of pain, I could just take, Advil or something, but if the pain got really bad, I could call them and get a prescription painkiller. And that freaked me out because I was like, wait a minute, you guys are willing to give me a prescription? Like, how much pain is there possibly going to be? Honestly, I never even took an Advil. I have a very, very low pain threshold, and when they started the procedure, I think each time, especially the first time, because I didn't know what I was getting myself into, when they start, and I'm really sensitive to hot and cold, when it started, I was like, this is really uncomfortable. And it's like, I was sort of lying there, and you know, the machine starts and it's starting to freeze your fat, and I was like, ooh, this does not feel good. Okay, this does not feel good. And I had read that some people had said it was actually quite painful. Not everybody. Some people had said it wasn't painful at all. My personal experience, and I'm a wimp and do not like pain. My personal experience was initially, it wasn't necessarily pain, but I was in a lot of discomfort initially. Pretty quickly, the area numbs and you just kind of forget that it's even going on. So it was not something that was uncomfortable for a long time. It was just kind of an initial discomfort, like, ooh, I don't like this. This isn't good. I don't know if I can handle this for, I believe the treatments are 40 minutes per like area. Don't quote, they might be 45, and I think they may have even changed at this point, but they're around that. And I remember like lying there going, oh my god, I don't know if I can handle this for 40 minutes. I don't know if I can do this. And then like pretty quickly, I just sort of like relaxed and was like, oh, this is numb. I don't feel anything. I'm fine. And I didn't really even notice after the first treatment. I was really extra cautious. I didn't really do any heavy exercise or anything. Kind of babied myself. But I was fine, really. I definitely had some numbness. It wasn't anything that was too weird. It was just like I'd take a shower and I'd be like, oh, I feel kind of numb on my stomach. Like it wasn't anything to be significant. When I did the second round, what I did was I did the larger device on the front and I did the smaller device on each side of my back. And it was also, I believe, last February that I got the second treatment done. It was actually like an ice storm when I went. So I parked and got the treatment and went to leave and was kind of like very like, all right, I have to go, I have to get out of here because I want to get home before the storm gets worse. But I had to scrape off my car. And I hadn't really thought much of it, and I had like the front area was done first, and then they did one of the sides, and then they did the other side. As I was scraping off the car with the cold, the last area that I had the treatment on my back, like tensed up. Like I was in so much pain. And I was just trying to like breathe, and I'm like trying to scrape off my car, and I'm breathing, and I'm like trying not to cry because I figured my tears are gonna start freezing on my face. Like it was extremely uncomfortable. So I get in the car and I'm trying to drive home, and I'm trying to be really cautious because again, there's like an ice storm. And in the meantime, my back is like killing me. I'm like, oh my god, I'm in so much pain. I don't know how I'm gonna handle this. And like literally halfway home, and I have to say, like, my house from the treatment center is, I mean, in the ice storm and stuff, it probably took me more like 15 minutes to get there, but it's actually probably more like 10 minutes away. Like halfway home, I was fine. And by the time I actually got, because the whole time I'm like, oh my god, I just have to get home, I have to lie down. And by the time I got home and like walked in the door and started talking to people and everything, and I was fine. Like I didn't feel any pain. I felt numbness, but no pain. So I did find it interesting that the third time I got my treatment done, it was actually much warmer out, but I only got the large device on the area on the front of me. I kind of was expecting it, and because that was the only area I did, by the time I got to my car as I was driving home, it was the same kind of thing. Like it was tensed up, and it was much warmer. It was not icy. I don't remember what month it was, but you know, it wasn't cold out or anything like that. It was springtime. And I did notice that it was like, as I'm driving, I'm like, oh, this is really uncomfortable. I am in pain. Oh my god, I'm in pain. Like I just need to lie down. I need to get home and lie down. And like literally by the time I got home, you know, 10 minutes later, it was like nothing. I was fine. I didn't even have to lie down. I was good. For me, and this is my personal experience, and everybody's different, like I never had to take any kind of, you know, painkillers or ibuprofen or anything like that. But apparently some people do, because they wouldn't have offered it to me if people didn't need it at some point. But for me, I never had a problem with it in any way, shape, or form. So I will warn you, and I do feel like if you are gonna drive yourself there, especially if you have a long drive or anything, just know that you might feel a little bit of discomfort. It wasn't so bad that like I felt like I couldn't drive or anything. I just kind of feel like in hindsight, it might have been a little bit better had I not driven, and I think if I had to be in a car for too much longer, it might have been a little bit more uncomfortable for me. So that's just something to keep in mind. I don't think you necessarily have to like bring someone with you, but you might feel a little bit of discomfort when you first leave. So it's just something that I think you might want to bear in mind. But I didn't find it, and I have a very low threshold for pain. I'm a pretty big wimp, and I didn't find it anything that I couldn't handle. The Venus treatments, which were the skin tightening, that actually for me was a lot more uncomfortable because I don't like hot. Like I don't like things that are too hot, and I would get really sweaty, and it's kind of like this massage thing that they like rub over you, and your skin can get kind of irritated. That's part of the point. I mean, there's a whole science behind it where it's kind of like almost like damaging your skin to help it rebuild, so it can help tighten it and help like stimulate the collagen and stuff. I found that actually more uncomfortable than the actual Coolsculpting itself. But I did actually appreciate the treatments. I do think my skin tightened a little bit, not as much as I was hoping that it would, but you know, I mean, going into it, I tried to remind myself that I'm probably not gonna have Kate Hudson's abs when I leave, but I think I secretly wanted to have Kate Hudson's abs when I left. So I'm gonna still work on it on my own, but I definitely do think that doing the procedure, doing the Coolsculpting and doing the Venus treatments did help me get closer to my goal, and definitely helped motivate me to make even more healthy changes. So overall, I'm really happy that I did it. It was a huge expense, a huge hit on my wallet. That was the main downfall. But I will say, and I did mention this in a vlog that I did a few months ago, but this kind of took me by surprise because by the third time I did the treatment, I felt like an old pro. I was like, I know what to expect. I know what's gonna happen. And I was in the middle of doing my oxygen challenge, and I felt this like lump in my stomach. If you ever feel something odd on your body and you decide to Google it, a lot of things will come up. And I was in a panic, and because I hadn't experienced that with any of the other times, I wasn't even thinking that it was Coolsculpting related. I was convinced I had a hernia or I had something going on, and I was just, and it wasn't necessarily painful, but it was very uncomfortable because it was like right on my waistline. So when I would sit and stuff, I was just feeling very uncomfortable, and it was sort of like this hard bump. So after panicking and freaking out, I went to my doctor, was convinced I had a hernia, was convinced I was gonna have to quit the challenge. I was just completely distraught. I actually visited the nurse practitioner, and she told me, she was like, it's basically a fat deposit. And she said she felt a couple others like in my abdominal area, which was where I got the Coolsculpting. Basically, that was just the fat that had frozen and was working its way through my body. And I probably had that going on every other time, but because I had less body fat in that area, now by the third time I was starting to notice it. So then I went in for a follow-up, you know, at Skin MD, and I told them about it, and they were like, yeah, we could have told you. But I was like, yeah, but I didn't think to call and tell you that I had this because I wasn't even thinking that it was that was related to that. So just to warn you, especially if you're someone who maybe started out thinner than me, that can happen. You can have, and honestly, it's worked its way through my body and it's not still there anymore. But that did freak me out when it happened, because I was just like, oh, I know what's gonna happen. I know what's going on. I'm an old pro. And then panic sets in. Now, how to know if Coolsculpting is right for you. Basically, the only thing that you need to be a good candidate is you probably should be in decent health. You know, if you have any major health problems or something, you really need to consult your doctor and make sure that it's a safe procedure. But if you're a generally healthy person, basically the only requirement for Coolsculpting is that it be enough, like you have enough fat in that area to be able to pinch it. If you can pinch the fat, they can Coolsculpt it. If you can't pinch the fat in a certain area, then you don't have enough fat there in order for the device to like grab onto, so they can freeze it. For me, I felt a little bit leery because I felt like all the before and after pictures, the before pictures were like much better than where I was. So I was a little nervous about like, am I gonna see the results that I want? I feel like most people's before pictures were like my after pictures, but that's just how it is. Again, and you can tell by my pictures, you can't expect miracles. It's not gonna solve all your problems, but I definitely think I have improved. And here's the thing, I feel like it's with any kind of weight loss trend or procedure or anything, it's not a substitute for diet and exercise. There is no substitute for that. There is no substitute for healthy living. There is no substitute for any of that. And I did not go into this thinking like, oh, I want to do this so that I can eat whatever I want, or I can do this so that I can, you know, not exercise anymore. I didn't go into it with that attitude. I feel like if you go into it with that attitude, you're probably not going to see positive results. I feel like this procedure is best for people who are actively trying to improve their health, improve their lifestyle. You maybe are generally at an overall healthy weight, but you have like one area, you know, whether it be, you know, your abdominal area, you know, upper or lower, or whether it be, you know, your love handles, or whether it be your thighs. One area that just you cannot seem to get rid of. Like, you cannot get rid of the fat in that area. I feel like those are the people who Coolsculpting is good for. Like, that's what it's meant to do. It's not meant to, I mean, if you're basically saying like, all right, I want to Coolsculpt every single area on my body, you probably want to lose some weight first. And I do kind of feel like when I decided to do it, I just made the decision. I was like, this is what I want to do. I did my research. I was kind of like I'd hit a wall with diet and exercise, and I didn't really know where to turn. And I started doing that. And I do kind of, looking back on it, wish that I had dieted and exercised and gotten in the shape that I'm in now first and then done the Coolsculpting. I may have still needed to do all 3 rounds. I may still needed to have done everything the exact same way, but I just feel like I kind of wish I'd waited. But it's just kind of the way things worked out at the time. And I know in my heart that I would have still needed to do the Coolsculpting in order to get where I am. I just kind of wish maybe I had gotten where I am. I'd gotten a little bit smaller myself before jumping into doing the Coolsculpting. But that's life. It's just the way it works. Now, to get to Coolsculpting costs, I hesitate talking about price because I feel like, you know, every place you go, especially in different parts of the country, it's going to be different. It is quite expensive. I believe that the smaller device areas like start at like $700. And that is like, say, you know, you are getting both thighs done, that's going to be $700 per thigh. When you get the bigger device, that doubles. So that's $1,400. And that's where it starts. And I'm sure if you live in a bigger area, you know, a more popular area where things are just more expensive, you know, if you were in New York City or something like that, I'm sure it's going to be more expensive. You're probably going to get more for your money there because you're probably going to have people that do the procedures a lot more. I know where I did it at SkinMD, like they knew what they were doing, but the procedure didn't start getting popular and more people didn't start doing it until like after I'd already done it. That's where it starts, and I'm sure that it can go up from there. It is a huge expense, and I certainly don't think it's something that you should go into lightly. But if you're someone like me who has an area which you just cannot seem to reduce and you just cannot seem to get past it, it might be something to look into because it is a very non-invasive procedure to help tone up that area. It's not instant. It's going to take, some people see results within the first few weeks. Most people, it takes like 2 to 3 months. So it's not going to be instant. It is a lot less invasive and a lot less expensive than doing something like liposuction. So I hope I was helpful. I know this was a very long review, but I hope I answered your questions. I hope that you guys found this helpful. If you found this video helpful, please give it a big thumbs up. If you have any questions or anything more you want to know about Coolsculpting, please leave them in the comment section below. I want to hear from you. If you have any videos that you would like me to make, let me know. Leave those in the comment section below. A while back, I was suffering from anxiety and depression, and I truly believe that health and fitness and taking care of myself saved my life. And I believe it can save yours too. So if you want to join my Starlet Squad, be sure you hit that subscribe button. You can follow me on all my social media channels. The links will all be in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you join me next time.